Hi. I have a project I want to work on, and I don't know why I waited so long, actually. I was sitting there last night thinking, why have I not done that? I have my journal. I journal in it every day, and it's got a nice little pocket there, which I love. And years ago, when I first got this, I took a sticker and laminated it, and that's what's been in there. And I thought, well, why don't I make something of my own art and put in for my pocket? So I have this size I already cut, and this is what I use for my small ring journal. And I might clip the corners to make it look more like a tag, but it's going to fit nicely in there. It's Bristol smooth paper. And I was thinking of covering it with this paper and then doing some stenciling. This might actually be too dark now that I'm seeing that, but I want to keep true to the colors of my planner. I like the oranges and browns, so I have rusty hinge, vintage photo, spiced marmalade, some crackling campfire, and then I thought just to throw it in, I might add some kitsch flamingo just to kind of make it a little softer. And I was also thinking of using the stencil on top of that paper, but I'm thinking that's going to be too dark, so I may have to go and pick some different paper. But that's my plan for today. I hope you come along with me in this project, and I'll start in just a minute. Okay, so I picked out a different piece of paper. This is one of the Tim Holtz, one of the paper packs. I'll have which one it's from in the description. And I'm thinking of just laying it here and taking that much, so it gets some of this information and whatnot. So I'm going to I'm going to cut it a little wider than what I need, just to make sure I have plenty of room, and a little longer. Sure, I'll find a use for the rest of that. And so I'm going to try to line it up. I think I'm going to cut off some of do I have room to cut off some of the top? Yes, I'm going to cut off some of the top because that's a lot of blank area. And I'm just going to glue it onto that. And I don't need it double-sided because I really hardly ever take it out of the sleeve, but I just want it to be something pretty that I've made in the sleeve. So I'm going to trim it, or pocket, I should say pocket. It's not a sleeve, it's a pocket. Okay. Actually, I might keep that one. That might be a nice little strip. I'm going to stick that in the bin with my paper strips. Okay, I like that it has a little bit of pink in it, so that will be kind of playing off. Oh yes, I think that's going to look nicely. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is trim my corners just so that, and I don't want a really big corner. And the way I make sure I get them the same is I take it and then I flip it. Make sure I got it right. I think I dropped it in my hand. And I'm going to flip it in reverse, keeping the top at the top and the side at the side, and chop it. Now I know that there is a punch for this, and I might put it on my list of things I want. And see, so now those are exactly pretty much the same. And okay, that's perfect. Looks like I got a little hanging over right there. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start putting some, actually I think I want to stamp first, because once I start doing some of the rest of it, it might be harder to stamp on top. So I'm pulling out my Eccentric stamp pad because that's got a lot of numbers and things, and I think it will work really good. And this actually says for the months of, and I think I don't have one that's got a date. I am pretty sure. Someone's trying to text me. No, I don't see a date on any of these. So I think I'm not going to even pay attention to that is a month. I might write a month name over here. But over here, I'm going to put a number. And I'm going to put something that's a little longer, like maybe this one. And I'm just going to use black because I'm going to have a lot of color going on. And the rest of the wording is black, so we'll just do that. Okay. And then I think I'm going to write something here. And this is April, and school would still be in April because we're talking about school kids. So I think I'm going to write April, and I'm going to try to do it in my calligraphy writing. I've been kind of practicing. So there's April. Okay, and I might have a stamp that says something right there. Like this one says, okay, who is texting me? I'm gonna pause. Okay, I am on airplane mode, so I won't be getting that anymore. And so I want to just put something right here, and I was thinking I saw, oh, I already, no, that's not it. Saw one that said identification card. Oh, I already pulled it out. Okay. All right, so I was thinking that could go right there. Yep. You don't know how many times I do that. Leave the little protective plastic on there. And I don't really care if I get it directly in the center. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so I think That's my stamping. There's some area down here, but I think I'm going to let that go because I've got other things I'm going to be doing. Okay, so now I'm going to be doing some stenciling on the card itself, and I really like this stencil. It's a little wider. The card's a little wider than it, so we'll have to see what I do here. I might just put it in the center and decide if I need to take it in both sides. Okay, so I'm going to start with, I'm going to do several different colors on this. And I'll start with Rusty Hinge. Oop, I'm going to tape that down just so it doesn't move. Okay. And I'm just going to add some Rusty Hinge in different areas. Okay, so that's 3 areas of Rusty Hinge. I might come back and do some more if needed. I'm going to add some spiced marmalade. I'm about ready to get a new spiced marmalade. It's getting pretty dry. Just put a little down here. Okay, and then I'm going to do some crackling campfire. This is, I think, pretty moist, so well, maybe not. Yeah. This is looking very fallish, and I don't want it to look fallish. So I'm going to be that's why I'm going to be adding the pink later. And then I'm going to add a little bit of vintage photo. May have to go over some of the areas just to bring that in a little bit. Okay. All right, so I'm not going to remove this. I'm actually going to dry it a little bit. Well, I may lift it just to make sure. Okay. And dry it just a little bit. Okay, and the next step, I'm going to, let's get some of these stuff out of the way. I'm going to be using some translucent texture paste. Now, I was thinking I might have that in, no, I don't. It's on my list. I couldn't remember if I got it or not, but that also comes in Crackle, which I thought might be kind of nice, but I don't have that, not in the translucent. And I have more if I need it, but so I'm going to kind of bring a whole bunch down to the area. So I'm just going to go over the same area with the clear or the translucent texture paste. Now it kind of goes on a little milky, like yogurt, but it will dry perfectly clear. And I'm just getting it real thin over the whole area. I don't want any big bunches of it anywhere. Okay, I think that's going to do it. Now, if I don't like how it is, because it doesn't go to the edges, I may just trim the edges. Okay, so now this is going to go directly into my water bath, as well as, well, I might just wipe him off. Okay, so I'm going to seal this guy, and then I'm going to set this aside to dry. And here in Florida, it takes a couple hours because it's so moist here, but I'll be back when it's dry. So I've sprayed it with some kitsch flamingo oxide and some kitsch flamingo non-oxide spray. And I'm just going to dry it, and I'm going to be able to take a cloth and wipe it off the parts with the texture paste. You don't have to do that, but it's not going to adhere to it, so it's just kind of sitting on top, so if it ever gets wet, then it would come off. But I think I'm going to trim these edges since they don't really have anything going on the edges. So now I'm going to just take my wet one here and just kind of go over the areas with the texture paste, because I want the oranginess to come through. And that will bring the shine of the translucent texture paste back, because the oxide kind of made it look a little chalky, which is what it does. you can see, I'm lifting out off a bunch of pink that's sitting on top of that texture paste. And that looks really good. I like that. Now I want to have a little bit of splatter going down there because I don't want the pink to look like it is brand new. So I'm just gonna do some splatters, mainly in the open areas. Okay. Hopefully that's not too much splatter. And I'm gonna give it a little bit of a dry. And I'm going to take my rag again and go back over to get any of the vintage photo splatter off. I don't want that sitting on top either. I want that in the background. I'm going to take this and trim it and let it dry for a minute. I'll be back. Okay, I've trimmed it. It's dry. And, well, it's dry now. And I'm going to add a little bit of vintage photo around the edges. I might have to come in with some scorched timber if it's not showing up enough. Yeah, I don't think that's good enough. So I'm gonna do some scorched timber around the edge there. Not in very far at all, just around the edge. Okay. Now, normally if I'm making a tag, I would be like adding some things to it, like some ephemera or something. I do have a spot here. I can tell that my glue did not adhere to my tag, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. And so, like I said, I'm not going to add anything because I want it to be able to slide in and out of that pocket easily. So let's check it out. Oh, nice. Isn't that nice? Almost looks like a library book card. That's gorgeous. I love it. Well, I hope you liked it too. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. We have a lot of fun here. And if you liked what you saw, please give me a thumbs up. Either way, have an awesome day.